Watch Boy Meets World Fridays at 8:30 on CJOH TV.
Midday Newsline with Lane Fraser and Leanne Cusack.
It's good for the body, it's good for the soul. I'm Leanne Cusack, and today we're going to get into the exercise groove. We're going to look at a hot new trend called cardio funk, and we're also going to talk about proper exercise footwear. All that and a lot more. First, though, here's Lane Fraser with the Midday News.
Thanks, Leanne. Water purification equipment to battle cholera, a deadly disease, is claiming scores of lives each day.
Roll them out this morning. The Americans bringing in one of the most vital needs of this place, a way to have fresh water. The portable system to be set up at a lake is a tiny first step, but it will mean life for thousands.
They've got the capability to produce 1,200 gallons per hour. They think that they can be operational within about 4 to 5 hours of hitting the site.
There are so many dead. The cholera epidemic is now, said one aid official, out of control. The death toll could reach 80 or 100,000. It is already so bad they can't bury the dead fast enough. Desperate times may mean desperate measures. They may have to burn the corpses.
If we want to resort to that, it's difficult to find anyone who wants to do that grisly task, and right now we don't have anyone who would undertake that.
The sad thing is the world has a will, but it doesn't have a way in. It's hard to get the flights down here at Goma Airport. The problem is it takes so long to unload the planes, they can't get back up in the air. And without a place to park, they can't let new planes come in. There are flights that have actually come to Goma and circled, waiting an hour to try to land, only to be turned away. Their aid never got here. Barry Peterson, CBS News, at the Goma Airport.
A woman and 2 children are dead following a house fire in Toronto. 2 other people are in critical condition in hospital. The blaze broke out this morning. Fire investigators say the home was not equipped with fire detectors. 2 U.S. fishing vessels have been seized off Newfoundland. Officials suspect the boats were illegally fishing scallops. The seizure took place just beyond Canada's 200-mile limit. The vessels will arrive in St. John's tomorrow. Is The Lion King a threat to democratic ideals? One Harvard psychologist thinks so. Carol Neuberger says the movie is full of stereotypes and is racist and homophobic, while a doctor of child psychiatry talks about the wickedness of the children's movie, and a columnist in the Detroit Free Press weighs in that The Lion King is fundamentally sexist. A Disney spokeswoman says the movie is merely fiction and the critics need to get a life. The Lion King, by the way, has made more than $200 million at the box office. A lively look at the weather now with Kathy Donovan. Shaping up nicely out there?
Yeah, we're still enjoying a little relief from that really high humidity we had last week, Lane. We're going to continue with sunshine. In fact, the forecast has perked up a little bit for the part of the week.
Leanne's escaping it inside, though.
Oh, but we'll be working up a sweat, Lane. Don't worry.
Right.
We're about to find out a little bit more about cardio funk, so the temperature will be rising in here.
So what's happening outside for those of us that don't feel like working out today at the gym? The many of us out there.
Hot inside where Leanne is, and it'll warm up as well outside. We're looking at quite a nice day today, though we do maintain a chance of some shower activity, still with that disturbance up over the Hudson Bay area. And my pen doesn't want to work. I knew that might happen. Anyway, the disturbance up over the Hudson Bay area will eventually diminish, and that means that ridge of high pressure now over Saskatchewan will push back into our region, and that'll bring in sunshine for the latter part of the week. Looks now like we maintain that 40% chance of showers, thunder showers in the latter part of the day today. In the Gatineau Hills, some heavy rainfall this morning, north of Carp as well. And though we maintain sunshine in the forecast with a mix of cloud, we look at a high of only 26, and it'll be a fairly pleasant, relaxing day with a nice southwest breeze. We'll continue with that forecast, mostly sunny skies in shape for tomorrow as well. So try to keep up the sunshine for the remainder of the week.
Thanks, Kathy. We'll check in with Leanne, who is getting physical a little bit later. If you're heading out to the great outdoors, make sure you bring an umbrella. Better still, stick around for the next 54 minutes for a packed edition of Midday Newsline. Here's what's on our lunch menu. You spend so much time on them, how should you care for them? We'll have a report on foot problems and how we can take care of them. And for anyone out there who uses dance or movement as a way to keep the body in shape, we'll speak to an expert on the best ways to use the body without abusing it. All this, the music of Ernest Lee, and lots more on this one-hour edition of Midday Newsline. This is how it looks on Lancaster Road on this overcast Tuesday, the 26th of July, 1994.
Aerobics has to be ranked one of the most popular forms of exercise in the late 20th century. It brings all kinds of people together for a workout set to music. You get your adrenaline going and you can feel the pounds coming off, or at least hopefully. Is aerobic exercise in great doses all that good for you? Well, have you heard of cardio funk? It's almost the same thing, except it combines aerobics with dance set to some very funky music. It's starting to catch on in Canada. And right now, we're here with Darren O'Shaughnessy, and I guess the OAC is affiliated with some of the bodyworks clubs in town. You're called the Funk Master.
Yeah, I guess I am.
What is entailed in being the Funk Master? We have some women getting into the groove behind us.
Well, I guess I'm the only instructor at Bodyworks in the OAC right now who is doing cardio funk classes. Do them every Friday night at 5:30 at Cooper Street Bodyworks.
Well, what is cardio funk? I mean, we just all got used to aerobics and we started understanding the difference between high impact, low impact. What's cardio funk?
Basically, cardio funk is aerobics with an attitude. That's the best way I can describe it. What makes it funky is just a stylization of the movement. What we do is we take basic movement patterns that are from our low impact classes or our high-low classes, and we just add some stylistic difference to them. Just
one stylistic difference is you're not wearing running shoes, you're wearing Doc Martens. Here we go.
Doc Marten combat boots, which are, I guess, the essential funk footwear.
Okay.
You know, some of the people in the class wear them, some people wear runners. It's really whatever your preference is.
And I guess that things are a lot more loose in terms of accessorizing.
Oh yeah, definitely. Loose is the key word. The bigger the better. So baggy shorts, baggy shirts.
What does this do for people physically that aerobics mightn't do?
For one thing, you have one heck of a good time. It's like going out and spending an hour dancing and having a lot of fun to really good music. So what we do is we just get them out, we get them moving, we keep them moving, and they really work up a sweat.
And maybe we'll start working up a sweat as well. You can talk maybe about some of the steps that these women are doing that looks fairly traditionally aerobic. Where does the difference come in?
Well, what Lynn's doing right now is a basic pattern that we would be doing in an aerobic class. What we'll do to make it a little bit funkier is we'll add maybe a little bit of a hop while they're marching, or a little bit of an arm motion going to the side, or some shoulder or some hip isolations, which would make it appear a little more like dancing or funky.
Okay, I see this fellow in the tie-dye. Now, he's a perfect example of someone who's really getting into the funk element.
He gets into the funk.
He doesn't even know we're picking on him on TV, I don't think. Now, what made you decide to do it? Were you a mainstream aerobics instructor and decided to make this?
I've been doing I've been doing aerobics for about 10 years, steps for about the past 5, and funk for the past year. But I have a background in dance, so it sort of led towards doing cardio funk.
Is this better for the feet? We're going to talk about feet and footwear a little bit later on. Is this any?
It depends on the things you do to stylize it. For example, what I do is add some hops, have some spins, etc. So you still have to be in fairly good shape.
Well, let's show some of your hops and spins. You're called the Funk Master. I'm going to give this mic to Marlene. I'm going to join in your class and get you to take over as the leader.
Okay.
Thanks, Darren. I'll hop in. And I don't have a clue what I'm doing, so we're just going to watch Darren. Can you give us a hand? I only know the old aerobics. I feel like the real klutz in the class. Woo! How long have you been doing this? I don't even know the steps, but this is okay. We should have practiced this, Serge. I give up. I guess I'm not that funky. I can hop over to the side. Back to you, Lane. If you've ever done cardio funk, you give it a try.
Never. Why aren't you at the front of the class, Leanne? Get up there.
I don't have a clue what they're doing. Check them out. This is great. Do you know how to do this?
No, that I don't know. I'm like you, old style aerobics.
Here we go.
Well, for many people, weight control is an obsession. If they're not working it off, they're trying to starve it off. But if this is true, why are North Americans actually getting fatter?
The percentage of overweight Americans shot up 8% over the past decade after remaining almost constant for 20 years.
Approximately 33%, or 1 out of every 3 American adults, is currently overweight. That translates to approximately 58 million overweight American adults and represents a significant public health concern.
For its survey, the government defines overweight as 20% or more above ideal body weight. That means, for example, 160 pounds or more for a 5'4" woman, and 185 pounds or more for a 5'9" man. Experts suggest various reasons for the increase.
Obesity, I think, is an American phenomenon. We have this kind of feeling that the more the better. All-you-can-eat restaurants you don't see in Europe. The plate piled high in the United States is something that I think is typically our culture.
We've gotten richer. We have more money. We have more cars. We have more labor-saving devices. I think the populace is less active every year.
In the past decade, commercial diet products and programs have grown into a $40 billion a year industry. The authors of this latest study say that it shows that commercial weight loss programs do little, if anything, to stop the trend of Americans gaining more and more weight. Robert Bazell, NBC News, New York.
I'm certainly not going to be hired for a job doing the 20-minute workout. I just want to ask this lady, why do you work out, ma'am? I don't know sometimes. To be bugged by reporters, right? I tell you, we have a lot more ahead on Midday Newsline. We have the music of blues musician Ernest Lee, and we're also going to talk about the things that are most neglected when we work out. Our feet, the noble feet, and the feet problems that can be encountered.
What's wet and wild and promises to cool you down on a hot summer day? Midday Newsline's Day at the Beach. Actually, you and a friend will be our guest at Le Beach Club Water Park at Montcascade. To be eligible for our contest, please send us a card with your name, address, and phone number to Midday Newsline's A Day at Le Beach Club. Our address is Midday Newsline, care of CJOH TV, Post Office Box 5813, Merivale Depot, Ottawa K2C 3G6. Good luck.
In the mood for more sun jamming?
I can see clearly now the rain is gone.
This summer's hottest Fun in the Sun album.
I can see all obstacles in my way. Some guys have all the
18 hot summer hits, all in one sun jamming album.
In the summertime when the weather is hot, you can stretch right up and touch the sky.
Over 60 minutes of music. It's a whole new attitude.
Sunshine came softly through my window today.
More sun jamming. Compact discs and cassettes are in stores now.
Two remarkably similar bills, both listing identical long-distance calls made, same dates, same locations, etc., etc., etc. But wait, what's this? A glaring discrepancy where it says amount owing. Whoa, glaring indeed. Because, you see, Unitel has this handy savings box that states the up to 28% savings you get with close connections. Theirs? Okay, where's that box? That's interesting. No handy savings box. And with our new free month offer, you'll get a free month of long distance each and every year you use Unitel. Theirs? No free month, no handy savings box, nothing. So, if you want the same quality long distance plus all of this for a lot less of this, give us a call. We're Unitel, and our number is 1-800-830-2688.
I've got this new hobby, photography. Left the lens cap on, didn't I? Well, I am learning, but developing costs are really killing me. What? If I get one roll developed at Shoppers, my next roll's developed free? You gotta be kidding.
Now.
Right. Anything else? With every roll I bring in, I get a Shutterbug coupon for free photo gifts? Well, gotta get shooting. Rats did it again.
Foot pain is so common. Studies show that 2/3 of us have had a foot problem sometime in our lives. Is it bad shoes, bad walking, or just plain bad jeans that causes achy feet? Ileana Bravo has the lowdown on our tortured tootsies.
Oh. It's that pain in your feet that can make you want to scream. The problem is a report by the Florida Podiatric Association found 66% of us think foot pain is normal.
Nothing could be farther from the truth.
This podiatrist or foot doctor sees aching feet of all sizes with a variety of problems that make them hurt.
We would expect to see a deformity like this in perhaps a woman of 50, 60 years old.
This patient is only 16 with a severe bunion, an enlargement of the large toe joint.
They had to move this bone 10 degrees over.
Now, a permanent screw holds her foot bone in the proper place. This proves bunions are not only a defect of elderly feet or tight shoes.
Hereditary predisposition to have this.
We have good news and bad news for you. The bad news is if your parents have bad feet, chances are you're going to have them too. Now, the good news is there is something you can do about it.
We can help you to prevent some of these painful deformities, which oftentimes lead to having to have surgery.
Which is what Barbara Gall should have done years ago after a lifetime of pain in her feet and legs.
You can see how this rolls and flattens here?
Often called weak ankles, flat feet, or rolling arches, this condition is easily corrected with shoe inserts that put your foot into the correct walking position.
I felt pain between my toes, like a nail was being driven through my toes.
Sheila Dubois was even having trouble playing her beloved tennis, what she thought were calluses or bone spurs.
Toes become pressed together, and one little piece of bone and one toe will rub against a piece of bone.
The main reason women get bone spurs is from wearing tight-toed shoes, such as high heels.
Absolutely. Shoes absolutely deform the foot.
Podiatrists are now using sophisticated computers to find walking defects in patients and guide them to the right shoes. He insists prevention at an early age is the most important route to healthy feet.
There's no reason that any child has to be suffering with knee pain, cramps in their legs, tired feeling feet or legs. It's 100% treatable and preventable.
I'm Ileana Bravo for NBC News.
Well, really we don't know how much we rely on our feet until they conk out on us or until something happens where foot pain arises. Now joining us now to talk about foot pain, how to avoid it, is Brian Christie. You're an athletic therapist, is that
correct? Yes.
Thank you for being here with us this afternoon. What do you think of all of this?
Actually, it's the first time that I've had exposure to it, and it looks to be a good sport. They start out slowly, which is a good warm-up, gradually increase the tempo of it, and there's a little bit of bounding in it, but I think overall it's probably a pretty safe sport so far.
Safe unless you don't know what you're doing and you embarrass yourself on television. Safe.
Well, that happens, that's for sure.
Well, let's talk about the footwear you've brought along, and then maybe we'll get you to join in on the class. What do you think?
I don't have the proper footwear with me.
Okay, this is not the proper footwear. He's wearing Tevas, but these guys are wearing Doc Martens, and they said that that's part of it. What do you think of that?
That may be a bit of a fad. I haven't had a chance to assess the Doc Martens biomechanically. They may be okay, but I probably wouldn't recommend them right now.
Well, exercise like this, what's the most common? I mean, you said this was a fairly good class, but typical aerobics or exercise program, what areas of the foot are most severely affected?
I'll try and illustrate it here. Most common problems are, a lot of them have to do with the arch of the foot in this area here. And this is the heel bone here, and there's a band of tissue that attaches from the front of the heel into the midfoot of it helps support the arch, so when you're loading on the arch, it tends to splay. This is where you look for a good support from your shoe. You can get heel bruises from inadequate support. You can get stress fractures here. You can get Achilles tendonitis. This is the back of the heel, so the tendon becomes strained in this area here.
What's the worst exercise someone can do that would cause something like that? What's the worst in all of your experience as an athletic therapist? What do you say avoid to do?
Probably running, but I'll have a lot of arguments from people that like to run.
Well, we'll get calls after the show, but let's have a look at what you've brought along today in terms of...
I brought along a very basic court shoe that I actually purchased myself for work. Now, there's certain components in a shoe that you look for. They call this the heel counter. Okay, it should be nice and firm. Padded area for the Achilles. Should have a nice flexible midsole and a nice toe box. Now, that's a very basic court shoe. That's mid-price. For this, actually, this Cardio Funk here.
Cardio Funk.
This is the newest aerobic shoe that they've got on the market. As you can see, it's a slightly higher cut. It's what they call a mid-cut. You're looking for a little better support in the ankle area there. And it also has a unique little suspension system.
Maybe we'll show our viewers
and when you press down, you can see how it pulls the top of the last in. So that's another...
We'll just turn that a bit so our viewers can see.
So when you step down in it, if you just let go there, see how it pulls in the sides here.
Okay, I think our cameraman needs those. We have him running around all the time.
For sure. But you can see it's a little more substantial as far as the support in the heel counter, a good solid toe box, and a nice medial arch support, which helps the inside of the foot. I think this would be perfect for this.
Just day-to-day wear, what do you most advise if someone has to go to work or shoes?
Well, again, anything like a nice court shoe. You could get into a cross trainer, which is a kind of a combination shoe. But I think I like to see the women that are out there walking to work with a pair of good running shoes on instead of trying to do it in their heels and that. They think it looks funny, but I think it's very practical.
I see a lot more people doing it. Actually, Lane, are you wearing running shoes under the desk? Thanks, Brian.
You're welcome.
What do you have on your feet, Lane? What are you wearing on your feet today?
Close, a comfortable pair of sandals, but I don't think I could make it through that class in them.
It's okay, I've changed my clothes.
If you think competition in the shoe industry is competitive, what about the hospitality industry? It's very fierce, and keeping customers happy is the best way to stay afloat. Well, Capital bartenders are learning some new moves that might get patrons coming back for more. We get more from Richard Provencher.
Not since Tom Cruise began flipping liquor bottles in the movie Cocktail has performance bartending become, shall we say, in vogue. 6 years later, it has spawned a new generation of bartenders, and organizers of this school of trick bartending say the industry needs a shot in the arm.
We want to take the attitude out of it. We want to give them a positive attitude and bring the art back to performance bartending.
As part of a 2-day seminar, 40 of Ottawa's best bartenders were out to prove their skills.
And make your hand follow through.
For some, performing seemed almost natural, while others held no secrets about their biggest fear.
Breaking the glasses, hitting somebody over the head, or cutting my legs or my toes that are like bruised already.
Heck, even your humble reporter got in on the act.
It's neck to neck, so it's going to come around one full rotation, catch on the neck, so come back. But it's also going to come back at that angle.
Well, I never said it was Tom Cruise. But like anything in life, the key to success is practice.
We'll have to gather up the bottles, all the empties, put a little juice in them and practice with juice, not with the real stuff, I think. And I'll have to take a few home with me as well and practice on the front lawn or something.
Richard Provencher, CJOH News.
Well, we're trying to move. I think I've retired my running shoes still. While we learn more about Cardio Funk, we'd like to tell you what else is on the go around the Capital region. Let's have a look at some Capital billboards. Deep River is the place to be this weekend for the annual Summer Festival. Festivities begin on Friday with a campfire and fireworks for the whole family. A giant street fair for the next day will feature sidewalk art. Sales by Ottawa Valley talents, Eddie and the Stingrays. That's right, Stingrays will perform 50s and 60s classics Saturday night.
As you're heading out this long holiday weekend, remember the Red Cross tips for travelers. If you're out on the highway this weekend, be courteous towards other drivers. Leave a detailed itinerary of your travel plans to save yourself and your loved ones needless worry in case of an emergency. It's better to be safe than sorry.
Some of the world's top street performers, including jugglers, fire eaters, speeders, magicians, and unicyclists will perform from noon to 10 at the Spark Street Mall this weekend. This is all part of the CKCU International Busker Festival from July 28th to August 1st. Get down to the mall this weekend, just 1 block south of Parliament Hill. Keep going, keep going.
After all these years, after all the memories, the last thing you want is to leave them with unexpected bills. It's for Canadians like you that Norwich Union created their newest insurance. If you're 50 to 75, call today and protect your loved ones with the plan specifically designed to cover funeral expenses.
When I read that funerals can cost more than $5,000, I just couldn't ignore enrolling any longer.
I didn't have a serious illness, thank goodness. So I was accepted into the plan at once. I didn't have to take a medical exam or see a salesperson.
Call today for your free enrollment kit, and you'll also receive this guide.
I found the final planning guide very useful. I learned about wills, estate planning, and funeral costs.
So call for your free enrollment kit and final planning guide. If you're 50 to 75 and have no serious illness, you're guaranteed acceptance. Call toll-free 1-800-563-1563 extension 238. That's 1-800-563-1563 extension 238.
The family attractions of the Adirondacks. Discover the adventure. Au Sable Chasm, the Grand Canyon of the East with boat rides, walks, and spectacular waterfalls. Frontier Town, a complete Wild West park with an authentic rodeo and rip-roaring excitement. The Great Escape, featuring the world-famous Comet Coaster, over 100 attractions in New York's largest theme park. High Falls Gorge, the rare natural beauty of 4 waterfalls plunging over 700 feet. The Lake Placid 1980 Olympic attractions. See where Winter Olympians go to warm up. Santa's Workshop, the magic of Christmas with Santa Claus, his live reindeer, and storybook friends. Call now for your free discount coupons to all the Adirondack attractions. You'll also receive a complete lodging and camping directory, including a detailed auto route map of the Adirondacks. Don't wait. Call now for your free Fun Pack discount coupons. 1-800-ITS-MTNS.
Who would you talk to twice as long for the same money?
My mother in London.
My Uncle Jake in Seoul. With Sprint Canada, you can call the person you talk to most for the least. In fact, Sprint splits the cost with you.
My brother Bob in Boston.
Tony in Tuktoyaktuk.
Hey, you can yak twice as long to Tuktoyaktuk for the same price. Besides, what else does Tony have to do up there? Get the most for the least from Sprint Canada.
Good afternoon. For welfare recipients in Canada, it has been a tough year. That is according to the annual report of the National Council on Welfare. It says in some cases the gap between assistance payments and the poverty line grew even wider. We have that story from Bill Rogers.
An estimated 3 million people in Canada survive on welfare, the country's income program of last resort. But the National Council of Welfare says the allowances paid by governments continue to be inadequate. Welfare recipients in many parts of Canada were worse off in 1993 than they were in 1992. Council spokesman Ron Noseworthy.
If anyone thinks that the people on welfare have it easy, then those who have it easy, they must be the great exception to the rule.
The annual report of the government-funded council says welfare incomes fall well below the poverty line. For example, the poverty line for a couple with 2 children in a major Ontario city is just over $30,600. The welfare payments for that couple last year totaled just over $22,000 for a poverty gap of $8,321. Ron Noseworthy says partial indexing of welfare payments to inflation would help.
They're crying out for something that would, again, set a minimum standard and that would also tie in their incomes to the cost of living, even probably partial indexing. Some form of indexing is needed.
As it is now, the report says thousands of people are living in substandard housing. Thousands of children are going hungry. Bill Rogers, CJOH News.
The public relations director of Ottawa's Islamic Information Center is being held at the Regional Detention Center. Charles Lee Knox, an American, was apparently arrested after immigration officials accused him of being a member of a Libyan terrorist group and connected him to the World Trade Center bombing last year. An adjudicator is to rule whether Knox can be held until a deportation hearing next week. A 20-year-old Ottawa man is in hospital after an early morning stabbing in Hull. Police say 2 men tried to break up a fight outside a bar when they were attacked. Another man from Gatineau was treated and released from hospital. 4 people are in custody. Partial, biased, and unfair. That is how a civilian commission report describes the appearance of the Nepean Police Service's handling of Constable John Minette's defense case. In October, Minette was acquitted of charges of manslaughter in the 1991 drug raid shooting of Vincent Gardner. Matthew Cowan reports.
The Nepean, my mom is paying the salary of this man to come and go against her in court.
This was a scene in October outside the provincial courthouse the day Nepean Constable John Minette was cleared on charges of manslaughter. The son and widow of Vincent Gardner, the man shot by Minette, were outraged the Nepean police chief had assigned a duty sergeant to work full-time for the defense during the trial. At the time, members of the Police Services Board backed the decision, saying it saved taxpayers money. But the Commission's report disputes that logic, saying the real cost is not monetary. The report concludes the affair has made the police service appear partial, biased, and unfair, and has done significant damage to public trust. The Gardner family's lawyer says he is pleased with the findings.
And the report sends a clear message to the municipalities in Ontario that this ought not to be done in the future. It was unprecedented here in Nepean. The Commission looked at it and said it betrays the public confidence, it doesn't look good, and the public is simply not well served by this type of work being done by the police.
One of the problems about public trust is it's very hard to measure it.
Jean Peart, the new chair of the Police Services Board, says she does not agree with all of the aspects of the report, but backs recommendations for clearer guidelines.
To make it easier for services to know how to respond on occasions such as these.
Matthew Cowan, CJOH News.
Canada is stepping up its aid to Rwanda. A Canadian military plane carrying medical supplies and aid workers leaves Trenton for Rwanda this afternoon. It will bring the Canadian contingent to 660 people. In Goma, Zaire, meantime, a logistical nightmare is keeping aid from reaching thousands of desperate refugees. A bottleneck at the airstrip has left foreign planes circling for hours. We get the latest from Barry Peterson.
America reached out a major helping hand. A huge C-5A landed at Goma Airport with what is, to this place, precious cargo, a portable water purification system. Once it's running, it will mean life for people getting disease and spreading disease through dirty water. Where to put it? The Americans went looking. There is a lake nearby contaminated by dead bodies.
Once you can control where people are eating, drinking, and defecating, and they're all separate, we can stop a lot of the diarrheal diseases.
And early this morning, the Americans were on the move, headed for that lake, their equipment pulling out of the base camp, saying they'll have the system operational by the end of the day.
They've got the capability to produce 1,200 gallons per hour. They think that they can be operational within about 4 to 5 hours of hitting the site.
In this place, death feeds on itself. The aid agencies try to keep count, but the bodies are stacking up so quickly, they're having trouble picking them up and burying them.
The major problem now is actually not food. It's certainly water, sanitation and diseases, and all these dead bodies.
Stopping disease is what everybody desperately wants. One aid official said the cholera epidemic is, for all intents and purposes, out of control. As awful as it seems, they are now saying the death toll here could reach as many as 80 to 100,000. Barry Peterson, CBS News, Goma, Zaire.
Authorities are searching for clues following a car bomb explosion outside the Israeli embassy in London. At least 11 people were hurt in this morning's blast. No one has claimed responsibility for the attack, which comes just one day after Jordan and Israel officially ended more than 40 years of hostility.
Shortly after noon in London, a huge explosion rocked the exclusive Kensington section of the city, a popular shopping area near the palace housing Princess Diana. Police say the nearby Israeli embassy was the apparent target of what investigators now say was a car bomb.
I was on the telephone and then suddenly there was an enormous bang and my ceiling just completely came down.
Scotland Yard says at least 9 people were injured in the blast, none seriously. Immediately after the explosion, police evacuated the area because of fears of a second blast. Today's Israeli embassy bombing comes a day after Jordan and Israel signed a pact ending 46 years of hostility. In Washington, Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin blamed today's attack on radical Arab opponents to the Mideast peace process.
We face terror activities against Israelis, against Jews, against moderate Arab and Muslim regimes, against whoever supports the peace.
Authorities are hoping this incident is not the beginning of a new long-distance battle over the future of the Middle East. Cindy Kennard, CBS News, London.
Fire investigators confirm there were no smoke detectors in a Toronto home which went up in flames this morning. A woman and 2 children perished in the blaze. 2 others are in critical condition in hospital. No word yet on the cause. Crews in British Columbia are doing battle against a huge forest fire on the outskirts of Penticton. The blaze covers some 2,000 hectares and has forced upwards of 4,000 people from their homes. The leading edge of the fire reached within half a kilometer of some homes, forcing everybody, including firefighters, back. The blaze began last Wednesday. About 200 firefighters and several water bomber planes are involved in a major assault on the blaze today.
It happened so quickly, Mohini. We were looking at the situation, we were monitoring it, and folks were calling. We asked them to be on alert, but it just suddenly kicked up so quickly.
It was just a matter of minutes then.
More or less.
Amanda Clements is having the summer of her life, but doctors say it may be her last. The 7-year-old Cambridge, Ontario girl has a rare blood disorder and time is running out. But you may hold the key to her future, and a simple test could give Amanda a new lease on life.
Amanda Clements is still on the go, even though she doesn't walk nearly as well as she used to. Her strength is being stolen away by a rare form of blood cancer. Amanda stays busy, but her summer fun is mingled with medication and melancholy as she thinks about what it was like when she wasn't sick.
Well, I don't feel as happy as I was then, so...
Why?
I'm not sure.
But her parents understand. They know Amanda needs a bone marrow transplant. They also know the odds of a match are 1 in 750,000 at a time when there are comparatively few registered donors in the country. The Clements are imploring people everywhere to ask the Red Cross for bone marrow information sessions. They have to be held before people can register as donors, but the sessions won't be conducted unless there's enough interest. And while the parents wait for someone to give Amanda the gift of a lifetime, they try hard not to lose hope.
She can have something like 5 bad days and 1 excellent day. And we don't know when that good day is going to come up.
You just take it day by day.
What the family's hoping for is people who will organize an information session through their job, their church, or their neighborhood. Sue says she'd be glad to come and speak. But if you are interested, they want you to make the plans now, because Amanda doesn't have any time to waste.
Analysts are predicting a jump in today's Bank of Canada rate after falling almost 1 full percentage point in the past 4 weeks. The central bank rate sits at 6.11%. Experts say it could rise up to 20 basis points today. Ontario's construction business is on the upswing. The Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation says construction of new dwellings this spring rose 16% over the same period last year. Underlying reasons is an increase in net migration of people to Ontario. Well, Kathy Donovan, is the sun going to make an appearance today or not?
Yes.
Later.
A little. Not just at the moment. To the west of Ottawa, believe it or not, it is sunny, but we're having a little bit of a slow start to the sun-filled day that we are expecting. Also, some showers popped up in the Gatineau Hills and just north of Carp, and across the river, in fact, across the Ottawa River, the probability of precipitation will be a little higher than here in town. We'll maintain 40% for the afternoon. Look for 60 if you live on the other side of the Ottawa River. Current temperature now at 24. Winds are southwest, 19 kilometers per hour. Humidity at 64%. 60%, our pressure is steady, and as I mentioned, that 40% probability of some form of precipitation through the afternoon, probably in the form of rain, huh? Take a look at the regional temperatures for you. It's a pleasant day temperature-wise. 22 degrees, a very common number close to Lake Ontario. 21 at Peterborough, 23 for Brockville, 24 at Cornwall. Montreal checks in at 22, Pembroke at 20, and a cooler 18 with some shower activity at Maniwaki. 8:38 is our sunset this evening. A look at the satellite shot in motion will show the disturbance still up over Hudson Bay. However, that system will diminish over the next 24 hours to make way for a ridge of high pressure that'll push in from Saskatchewan. But we maintain a southwesterly flow of air and a rather unstable as well air mass. We have that probability of precipitation for the afternoon. However, that gets eliminated as we move into the week, and now heading into the weekend looks absolutely beautiful. Let's check on tomorrow's map, if we may. Looks like that ridge of high pressure should push in tomorrow as the low makes its way off to northern Quebec. Our sunrise tomorrow morning 5:40, sets at 8:37. 5-day forecast looks something like this. I think you'll like it. Sun and cloud, sun and cloud, sun and cloud, sun and sun. Temperatures just a hair below normal. Enjoy. Leanne?
Well, Kathy, you were talking about an unstable air mass. I was a little bit unstable in cardio funk, so I decided to move to something that I knew a little bit better. Anyway, we're down here getting hot in the gym. If you're interested in getting some hot tunes to accompany any workout you might have, head on over to CD Warehouse.
Closed captioning of Newsline is provided as a community service by Hulse Playfair and McGarry Funeral Homes.
Who do you call the most in Canada?
Cousin Claude in Kamloops.
My sister in Saskatoon.
With Sprint Canada, call the person you talk to the most for the least.
What if it's my brother in Biloxi?
Yeah, my aunt in Holland.
Sprint Canada goes Dutch on all calls to the person you talk to most each month.
Dutch is in split the cost.
Exactly. Dutch as in half the price. Get the most for the least from Sprint Canada.
More OHIP cuts for out-of-country travelers.
And the health minister said no one should travel without supplementary travel coverage.
Reported that last year, 140,000 Ontarians needed emergency out-of-country medical help.
If you're not concerned about your travel coverage, we are. Call 1-800-COVER-ME to buy Ontario Blue Cross, the most trusted name in healthcare.
Royale is softer than the leading tissue, irresistibly softer. Compared to the leading tissue, thick 2-ply Royale just feels softer. Irresistibly softer Royale.
I think kids today need to learn responsibility. Mine have dish night, and they do a great job. So there's no food like little tomato seeds left stuck on the plate. They always pre-rinse, and they never overload.
No matter who does the dishes, Cascade does the dirty work. Dishes washed in Cascade with sheeting action removed look dirty, but dishes washed with regular Cascade look so clean they look virtually spotless.
Perfect. Every night should be dish night.
Virtually hopeless to virtually spotless.
Introducing New Royale Lotion Plus, with more lotion for extra softness.
Wow, there is lotion in here. I can feel it.
Compared to the other lotion tissue, it has 5 times more lotion, plus a touch of aloe.
Its softness makes it soothing.
New Royale Lotion Plus, with 5 times more lotion.
This is the 95 Neon. Some find it hard to believe that it has more pickup than the Mustang V6, and more front headroom than Honda Accord, Ford Taurus, and Toyota Camry. But when you compare it to cars in its own class, the competition gets a little nervous. With air, automatic, AM/FM stereo, dual airbags, side door impact beams, and more. For a great price, you get the last laugh. The 1995 Neon, now at your Ottawa-Outaouais Chrysler dealers.
musicians, the chance to become successful or more successful means moving from Ottawa to a larger place, like, say, Toronto. But if you play the blues, it doesn't get much better than here in the nation's capital, and it's starting to draw musicians from all over. Take the example of our musical guest today, Ernest Lee. Those smooth, bluesy sounds, you guys, that was great. What a way to start the day. You came here to play music?
Yes, I did, from Toronto, because I've heard a lot about the blues scene here in Ottawa. And since I've been here, it's really true. There's a big movement going on here.
What have we got that isn't in Toronto?
A little more involvement amongst the musicians in the sense of sharing the music together, a little more friendly. Not as much competition in such a way that it's as much backstabbing.
Oh, it was a little catty in Toronto, was it?
A little bit.
What about places to play, though?
Well, there are more places in Toronto to play than there are in Ottawa so far that I've found, but I find it a lot friendlier.
Well, we like it too. We're glad you're here. Tell us about the song you're going to play.
This is a song I wrote about 10 years ago called You Don't Need No Rhythm and Rhyme. All you need is yourself a good time.
Oh, couldn't agree more. Ernest Lee and the Tomato Band, take it away. you may not need rhythm and rhyme, but you've got that in abundance. Anybody ever told you sing like Burton Cummings?
No.
Oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Where are you playing this weekend?
We're playing at the Whipping Post on Rideau Street, Friday the 29th, and we're inviting everyone to come down.
Everybody can come down and have a lovely time. Thanks a lot, you guys. You were great.
Thank you, Kathy.
Leanne.
That sounds great, Kathy. We hope that you'll be joining us for tomorrow's Midday Newsline. We're back at the Minto Skating Club, where they're gearing up for a big summer competition that starts on Thursday. We'll also introduce you to Don Jackson, the first fellow to perform a triple lutz in competition. Also, we'll watch as anxious skaters prepare for the final match this weekend. That's all on tomorrow's Midday Newsline.
Excuse me, are you still paying big money for long distance? With Sprint Canada, you can get the most for the least. Underline most, underline least.
Most? Least. What?
I thought I was clear on that. Most, least.
Yes, ma'am. Only Sprint Canada gives you 50% off on the person you call the most each month.
But what if my mother lives in Hong Kong?
Fine, that's where she lives.
The most includes one number in Canada, one in the U.S., and one overseas.
3 numbers. But how does Sprint know?
Hey, I'm just a spokesperson here. All I know is wherever and whenever you call, you save.
Great. How long does it last?
How long do you have?
But what do I tell my phone company? The truth.
And tell them you don't pay any fees or dial any extra numbers either. Most, least.
Now you're talking.
I'm finally getting through to you. It's really worth. Now get the most for the least from Sprint Canada.
Introducing a Little Downy. Ultra Downy. It's much smaller, and just one tiny capful gives you the fluffiest softness. Watch.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Case closed. Ultra Downy. One tiny capful for the height of softness.
Mom's horror stories. Lawn crushing. Veggie drenching. Grass stomping. To whiten these horrible stains, you need Liquid Tide with Bleach Alternative. A great way to whiten all your clothes. Now you can get whites this dirty, this dazzling. And Liquid Tide with Bleach Alternative whitens without chlorine bleach, so it's safe to pre-treat even the brightest colors. Now Liquid Tide helps clothes look better, longer. Just look for the socks on the label.
Now, there's only one place where thrills get your adrenaline racing, your imagination soaring, and that place is Paramount Canada's Wonderland. It's a whole new thrill. Paramount Canada's Wonderland, the only place thrills are paramount.
And now get $4 off Wonderland passports plus 50% off Toronto hotels. Hurry to KFC and get your coupons now.
Talking about the strenuous effects of things like aerobics, but not much has been said about another area, the performing arts like dance and music. What strains do we put on our bodies here? It's possible to do irreparable damage to your body and your voice as you pursue artistic ambitions. At the School of Performing Arts here in town, you're encouraged to sing your heart out but not injure your voice in the process. Same goes for dance. Our guest has seen a lot of young people come through her studio with incredible talent but damaged bodies. She stresses that the school puts the body first and everything else is secondary. And the director of the school is Carolyn Hagen. Thank you for being here this afternoon, Carolyn.
Thanks for...
We've been watching people put stress on their bodies, and what your idea is to alleviate that stress, or could you explain what you're trying to do?
Well, the programs at the School of Performing Arts have been developed keeping in mind the physical and mental development of a child through time of birth until they're 16 years old. So each program is specific for each age group, and that's in dance, drama, and visual arts and music.
Are we looking at a more holistic approach? Can you give us a typical example of what it is that you're trying to avoid?
Okay, well, we're trying to avoid damage to the arches and the knees, the back, the spine. A lot of times, if a child is placed in a proper position with their feet and have proper body placement, then that damage that can be caused can be avoided.
What happens, though, when you have a 10-year-old whose heart is set on becoming, a prima ballerina, and you see very early on that there is that type of damage? What do? Do you say you can't do it, or do you say you can try?
Well, classical ballet can reinforce the body, so there are a lot of exercises that can be done to help strengthen the arches if there is a problem. And we work directly with some of the specialists here in town. Dr. Greenberg is one. And if we see when a student actually first comes to our school that there is a problem with their feet or with their spine, then we'll recommend to the parents that they see a specialist even before they start programs at the school.
Well, you've been running the school for 5 years. Have you seen careers that have been stunted in that period of time due to physical ailments or physical problems?
I believe that in Ottawa, for the time I've had this school, that it hasn't really happened because the school isn't old enough. But in other schools that I had previous to this one, yes, as the children got older, when they had wrong training or had been forced, most of the time students are not properly placed. It's all body placement, and if they are placed correctly, then you can avoid that. And if they aren't, then they put a lot of force and a lot of pressure on their ankles, on their knees.
And these are all things that they're working to avoid at the School of Performing Arts.
That's
Thank
right.
you very much for being here this afternoon, and we'll hope our youngsters will all be very careful and good to themselves as they're pursuing the arts. Back to you, Lee.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Joining us now, CJOH assignment editor John Ruddle for a look ahead to Newsline tonight at 6.
Yes, coming up at 6 o'clock, we're going to take you to Morrisburg in the Upper Canada Playhouse. It's less than an hour's drive from Ottawa. We'll show you what you can see there. We'll also have the latest on Charles Lee Knox. He's the man the FBI picked up over the weekend. He's a suspect in the World Trade Center bombing. Also, looking at the bank rate, will it go up today? It's likely to go up, not by too much, but it could change the prime rate a little bit. And we'll ask you, O.J. Simpson, are we covering it too much in Canada? They're covering it a lot in the States, maybe too much here at home as well. Lane, all that on Newsline.
Okay, thanks very much, John.
Okay.
Well, you have promises that the sun is going to make an appearance today.
Yeah, never too much sun in the summertime, huh?
No.
Yeah, it's a little cloudy at the moment. There have been showers popping up around the region in the Gatineau Hills, north of Carp as well, and that'll be the call off and on around the region. North of the city, on the other side of the Ottawa River, 60% chance of showers through the afternoon. We maintain a 40% chance. We're looking for a high close to the normal, 27, with some sun, and sun in the forecast each day now, at least until Saturday, I'm happy to say.
All right. Well, Leanne, that's good news. I mean, it was a good day for you to be inside.
A great day, Lane. Tomorrow we're going to introduce you to John Jackson, who has perfected the triple Lutz. Today I think I adequately showed our viewers that I'm the triple klutz.
Klutz.
No humility, but we had no time to practice.
I thought you looked fabulous, Leanne. Just get to the front of the class a bit.
We'll talk over lunch, Lane.
Have a good afternoon,
folks. Bye-bye.